Hello there. Hi. This is day number 74, and today we read Numbers 10 and 11, Psalm 32, and our first reading in Luke 21. You know, God's Word is like His mercies. His mercies are new every morning, and His Word seems new and fresh every morning. Let's open to Numbers 10. Yesterday we heard about the position of the lamps on the lampstand in the holy place, and the Levites were dedicated for service. The second Passover was celebrated. The Israelites received their marching orders based on when the cloud moved from over the sacred tent. Numbers 10. The Lord said to Moses, "Make 2 trumpets of hammered silver to use for calling the people together for breaking camp. When long blasts are sounded on both trumpets, the whole community is to gather around you at the entrance of the tent of my presence. But when only 1 trumpet is sounded, then only the leaders of the clans are to gather around you. When short blasts are sounded, the tribes camped on the east will move out. When short blasts are sounded a second time, the tribes on the south will move out. So short blasts are to be sounded to break camp. But in order to call the community together, long blasts are to be sounded. The trumpets are to be blown by Aaron's sons, the priests. The following rule is to be observed for all time to come. When you are at war in your land, defending yourselves against an enemy who has attacked you, sound the signal for battle on these trumpets. I, the Lord your God, will help you and save you from your enemies. Also on joyful occasions, at your new moon festivals and your other religious festivals, you are to blow the trumpets when you present your burnt offerings and your fellowship offerings. Then I will help you. I am the Lord your God. On the 12th day of the 2nd month in the 2nd year after the people left Egypt, the cloud over the tent of the Lord's presence lifted, and the Israelites started on their journey out of the Sinai desert. The cloud came to rest in the wilderness of Paran. They began to march at the command of the Lord through Moses, and each time they moved, they were in the same order. Those under the banner of the division led by the tribe of Judah started out first, company by company, with Nahshon, son of Amminadab, in command. Nathanael, son of Zuar, was in command of the tribe of Issachar, and Eliab, son of Helon, was in command of the tribe of Zebulun. Then the tent would be taken down, and the clans of Gershon and Merari, who carried it, would start out. Next, those under the banner of the division led by the tribe of Reuben would start out, company by company, with Elizur, son of Shedur, in command. Shelumiel, son of Zurishaddai, was in command of the tribe of Simeon, and Eliasaph, son of Deuel, was in command of the tribe of Gad. Then the Levite clan of Kohath would start out, carrying the sacred objects. By the time they arrived at the next camp, the tent had been set up again. Next, those under the banner of the division led by the tribe of Ephraim would start out, company by company, with Elishama, son of Ammihud, in command. Gamaliel, son of Pedazur, was in command of the tribe of Manasseh, and Abidan, son of Gideoni, was in command of the tribe of Benjamin. Finally, those under the banner of the division led by the tribe of Dan, serving as the rear guard of all the divisions, would start out, company by company, with Ahiezer, son of Ammishaddai, in command. Pagiel, son of Okran, was in command of the tribe of Asher, and Ahira, son of Enan, was in command of the tribe of Naphtali. This, then, was the order of march, company by company, whenever the Israelites broke camp and set out. Moses said to his brother-in-law, Hobab, son of Jethro the Midianite, We are about to start out for the place which the Lord said He would give us. He has promised to make Israel prosperous. So come with us, and we will share our prosperity with you." Hobab answered, "No, I'm going back to my native land." "Please don't leave us," Moses said. "You know where we can camp in the wilderness, and you can be our guide. If you come with us, we will share with you all the blessings that the Lord gives us." When the people left Sinai, the holy mountain, they traveled 3 days. The Lord's covenant box always went ahead of them to find a place for them to camp. As they moved on from each camp, the cloud of the Lord was over them by day. Whenever the covenant box started out, Moses would say, "Arise, Lord, scatter your enemies, and put to flight those who hate you." And whenever it stopped, he would say, "Return, Lord, to the thousands of families of Israel." Numbers 11. The people began to complain to the Lord about their troubles. When the Lord heard them, He became angry and sent fire on the people. It burned among them and destroyed one end of the camp. The people cried out to Moses for help. He prayed to the Lord, and the fire died down. So the place was named Taberah, because there the fire of the Lord burned among them. Footnote: in Hebrew, Taberah sounds like burning. There were foreigners traveling with the Israelites. They had a strong craving for meat, and even the Israelites themselves began to complain. "If only we could have some meat. In Egypt we used to eat all the fish we wanted, and it cost us nothing. Remember the cucumbers, the watermelons, the leeks, the onions, and the garlic we had. But now our strength is gone. There is nothing at all to eat, nothing but this manna day after day." Manna was like small seeds, whitish yellow in color. It fell on the camp at night along with the dew. The next morning the people would go around and gather it, grind it, or pound it into flour, and then boil it and make it into flat cakes. It tasted like bread baked with olive oil. Moses heard all the people complaining as they stood around in groups at the entrances of their tents. He was distressed because the Lord had become angry with them, and he said to the Lord, "Why have you treated me so badly? Why are you displeased with me? Why have you given me the responsibility for all these people? I didn't create them or bring them to birth. Why should you ask me to act like a nurse and carry them in my arms like babies all the way to the land you promised to their ancestors? Where could I get enough meat for all these people? They keep whining and asking for meat. I can't be responsible for all these people by myself. It's too much for me. If you're going to treat me like this, have pity on me and kill me, so that I won't have to endure your cruelty any longer." The Lord said to Moses, "Assemble 70 respected men who are recognized as leaders of the people. Bring them to me at the tent of my presence, and tell them to stand there beside you. I will come down and speak with you there, and I will take some of the Spirit I have given you and give it to them. Then they can help you bear the responsibility for these people, and you will not have to bear it alone. Now tell the people, purify yourselves, for tomorrow you will have meat to eat. The Lord has heard you whining and saying that you wished you had some meat and that you were better off in Egypt. Now the Lord will give you meat, and you will have to eat it. You will have to eat it not just for 1 or 2 days, or 5 or 10 or even 20 days, but for a whole month, until it comes out of your ears, until you are sick of it. This will happen because you have rejected the Lord who is here among you, and have complained to him that you should never have left Egypt." Moses said to the Lord, "Here I am leading 600,000 people, and you say that you will give them enough meat for a month? Could enough cattle and sheep be killed to satisfy them? Are all the fish in the sea enough for them?" The Lord answered, "Is there a limit to my power? You will soon see whether what I have said will happen or not." So Moses went out and told the people what the Lord had said. He assembled 70 of the leaders and placed them around the tent. Then the Lord came down in a cloud and spoke to him. He took some of the Spirit he had given to Moses and gave it to the 70 leaders. When the Spirit came on them, they began to shout like prophets, but not for long. 2 of the 70 leaders, Eldad and Medad, had stayed in the camp and had not gone out to the tent. There in the camp the Spirit came on them, and they too began to shout like prophets. A young man ran out to tell Moses what Eldad and Medad were doing. Then Joshua, son of Nun, who had been Moses' helper since he was a young man, spoke up and said to Moses, "Stop them, sir." Moses answered, "Are you concerned about my interests? I wish that the Lord would give his Spirit to all his people and make all of them shout like prophets." Then Moses and the 70 leaders of Israel went back to camp. Suddenly the Lord sent a wind that brought quails from the sea, flying about 3 feet above the ground. They settled on the camp and all around it for miles and miles in every direction. So all that day, all night, and all the next day the people worked catching quails. No one gathered less than 50 bushels. They spread them out to dry all around the camp. While there was still plenty of meat for them to eat, the Lord became angry with the people and caused an epidemic to break out among them. That place was named Kibroth Hattaava, which means graves of craving, because there they buried the people who had craved meat. From there the people moved to Hazeroth, where they made camp. And now we turn to Psalm 32. This psalm gives essential spiritual principles conveyed in David's testimony. I encourage every listener to camp out a while in this psalm. The Hebrew title is A Poem by David. Psalm 32. Happy are those whose sins are forgiven, whose wrongs are pardoned. Happy is the one whom the Lord does not accuse of wrongdoing, and who is free from all deceit. When I did not confess my sins, I was worn out from crying all day long. Day and night you punished me, Lord. My strength was completely drained, as moisture is dried up by the summer heat. Then, O Lord, I confessed my sins to you. I did not conceal my wrongdoings. I decided to confess them to you, and you forgave all my sins. So all your loyal people should pray to you in times of need. When a great flood of trouble comes rushing in, it will not reach them. You are my hiding place. You will save me from trouble. I sing aloud of your salvation because you protect me. The Lord says, I will teach you the way you should go. I will instruct you and advise you. Don't be stupid like a horse or a mule, which must be controlled with a bit and bridle to make it submit. The wicked will have to suffer, but those who trust in the Lord are protected by his constant love. You that are righteous, be glad and rejoice because of what the Lord has done. You that obey him, shout for joy. And today we turn for the first time to Luke 21. In the last confrontation in Luke 20, Jesus soundly refuted the Sadducees. After this, his teaching further embarrassed and offended the religious leaders. Luke 21. Jesus looked around and saw rich people dropping their gifts in the temple treasury, and he also saw a very poor widow dropping in 2 little copper coins. He said, I tell you that this poor widow put in more than all the others. For the others offered their gifts from what they had to spare of their riches. But she, poor as she is, gave all she had to live on. Some of the disciples were talking about the temple, how beautiful it looked with its fine stones and the gifts offered to God. Jesus said, All this you see. The time will come when not a single stone here will be left in its place. Every one will be thrown down. Teacher, they asked, when will this be, and what will happen in order to show that the time has come for it to take place? Jesus said, Watch out. Don't be fooled. Many men claiming to speak for me will come and say, I am he, and the time has come, but don't follow them. Don't be afraid when you hear of wars and revolutions. Such things must happen first, but they do not mean that the end is near. Countries will fight each other. Kingdoms will attack one another. There will be terrible earthquakes, famines, and plagues everywhere. There will be strange and terrifying things coming from the sky. Before all these things take place, however, you will be arrested and persecuted. You will be handed over to be tried in synagogues and be put in prison. You will be brought before kings and rulers for my sake. This will be your chance to tell the good news. Make up your minds ahead of time not to worry about how you will defend yourselves. Because I will give you such words and wisdom that none of your enemies will be able to refute or contradict what you say. You will be handed over by your parents, your brothers, your relatives, and your friends, and some of you will be put to death. Everyone will hate you because of me, but not a single hair from your heads will be lost. Stand firm, and you will save yourselves. Let's pray together. Lord Jesus, just as certainly as all those stones in the temple were torn down, just so you will return. And what will you find on earth when you do? Lord, some of the people listening to this podcast live in countries where persecution of your followers is common. Lord, we pray for them. We pray that you would give them extra wisdom. We pray that your Spirit would be upon them. Give them wisdom that none of their enemies can refute. Father, the time is coming now where, even in my own country, many of us should stand up and speak for you. And it is difficult. We did not expect the conflict to happen the way it's happening. Lord, even when people hate us, for your sake, we pray that you would help us. We pray that you would defend us because we are weak and we don't know what to say. You say that by standing firm, we will save ourselves. Lord, help us to stand firm. And so you promise us that we should pray to you in times of need. When a great flood of trouble comes rushing in, it will not reach us. With David we say to you, you are my hiding place. You will save me from trouble. I sing aloud of your salvation because you protect me. And what kind of people do you protect? David said, when I did not confess my sins, I was worn out from crying all day long. Then I confessed my sins to you. I did not conceal my wrongdoings. I decided to confess them to you, and you forgave all my sins. So today, Lord, we will confess our sins. We will confess our sins now. We will obey you, and then we will shout for joy.